Guard, Lieutenant Worf. You step into my Readier Room, please, and bring a tricorder with you.
Hi, Captain. What do you make of this? I am puzzled, sir. The only detectable bioelectrical symbols are your own. You did not know.
I did not.
Hello and welcome to the Readier Room, the only and longest-running Star Trek The Next Generation rewatch podcast. Every week of the calendar year, we're bringing you an episode of TNG and the behind-the-scenes stories of that episode and all of the on-set magic told from the tongues of the babes that were there to watch it all unfold. My name is Mitchell Mells, Chief Consultant of Services, and with me is my partner Brandon Hobbs, ex-Head of Resources Management at Paramount. Brandon, how you doing today?
Ugh, tired, Mitch. But I'm excited to discuss things that aren't Trek.
Yes.
And then to discuss things that are Trek, in that order.
One day we'll revolutionize the formula and switch up the order. Perhaps we'll put a break in the middle, go like non-Trek, Trek, non-Trek, or the opposite.
What we should do, we need a segment where we take like contemporary, like current events, and create an allegorical Star Trek episode out of them.
Now most of the time where we've created Star Trek episodes, it's been for the purpose of making an absurd situation that is mildly humorous. Now, if we can turn our attention to allegory and parable, then, you know, we'll really be in business.
For example, Texas Governor Abbott has sent over 6,000 immigrants to D.C.
As like a present?
It's quite the gift, isn't it?
You know, it's kind of like a dystopian novel of sorts, where these governors are just trading immigrants, perhaps as a labor force, perhaps as a cultural exchange.
Yeah.
In fact,
I like the labor force idea. It's funny.
It's kind of like an episode of Star Trek. Imagine the Enterprise is shuttling all those Irish people. And it's you were sent by the Federation to the Ferengi to be their space potato farmers, you know. And
sure.
So do the immigrants have to walk to DC? I guess they're not Chinese.
Yes. They're calling it the Trail of Tears 2.
Tear harder. Now, I know everyone and the planet is a collective sucker for alliteration. Trail of Tears 2. And you know what? I'm going to take a stance here. I've been mildly annoyed, speaking of the Trail of Tears, of course, that Andrew Jackson has gotten such a bad rap.
Yeah, you know what? I really have to agree with you.
Now, obviously, he did a lot of just terrible things. But at the same time, I think that the story equity, the amusing story equity he has is the highest among perhaps all of the presidents.
Absolutely. He was a badass, that's the thing.
Right. And he was an ornery asshole badass. Like,
right.
He was the one that his would-be assassin, came up, had his gun misfire, and then Andrew Jackson beat him down with his fucking cane. You don't see that anymore.
No, you don't. And you don't see the mass murder of Native Americans anymore either.
Well, that's something you can really only do once.
Tell that to the Jews.
Now, we don't need to make the Jews an enemy again.
We just got back in their good graces.
Right. It's I've got my yarmulke on, which is
I've been eating potato pancakes for the past 3 weeks.
Look, if anything enters my kitchen, you know it's going to be unleavened. I had an unleavened taco the other day.
Oh,
it's quite nice. So yeah, I mean, We make nice on the Readier Room. We make
Mhm.
we make friends. We do not make enemies.
We got to watch out for things that are haram though,
Yes, like that gorilla.
and things that are Boko Haram, which is even worse.
I've I donated my tithe, my requisite tithe to ISIS. I think that we'll be okay.
Huh.
Mm. Are you a big ISIS stan?
I wouldn't say Stan. They have a nice theme song.
Yeah. I caught it live one time. I was really chasing that one. Have you are you familiar with the light pen choreography for the ISIS theme song? You have to do big arcs going forward with your hands. Like they start low,
Uh-huh.
move up in an oval shape, back down.
Right.
Yeah, of course in time with the music, but
At some point you're miming a beheading.
exactly. It's really unique from other light pen routines that I've seen in that you coordinate with the stranger next to you and everyone beheads the guy to their left.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. And then Miku comes out.
Yeah. And the celebration continues from there. Obviously, the biggest Miku stands are ISIS themselves. And they updated her module to have ISIS appropriate garb. Just Miku wearing one of those hijabs.
I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing anime girls on the side of like ISIS tanks.
Yeah, I mean, part of the changing cultural landscape is that more terrible and niche things are going to infiltrate more places. There were those pictures like 10 years ago of the people painting their rifles with My Little Ponies, and
Yeah, that's right.
this is of the same ilk.
The same milk?
Same ilk.
Uh,
Who's your favorite Vocaloid?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite.
All right, which one do you love the most?
Just ask me the same question.
All right. Which one do you fantasize about?
Oh, all of them.
Okay, especially Kaito.
Although I don't know what that is, but
That's the only one. No, there's another one that's a man, but that's the first one that's a man.
is it the blue-haired guy?
Oh my god, let me go on about this. The design of that character has a jacket that zips from the top. So it's zippered at the top and then it
He's like
opens.
a cholo.
It is like a cholo, yeah. Wow, that's not a comparison I expected, but it is completely accurate. And then, so I've lived my life thinking how stupid this is. And then, imagine my surprise when I buy a coat and find that it's able to be zipped in that way.
Wow.
Yeah, some coats have a dual zipper, which is just exactly what it sounds like. But because of that, you can adjust where it begins and ends zipping.
Mm-hmm.
So you
sounds handy.
No, it's the opposite of that. It's very inconvenient. If you ever want to zip it just normally, you have to go through two zippers, have to thread that needle twice.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever struggled to zip something, well, now you got twice the challenge.
Yeah, it gets stuck twice.
Yeah. And it's doubly dangerous for your member.
I was gonna say, have you ever had that problem before?
No. You know my cock's too small for that.
I went through a phase for a while where I didn't wear underwear, and
To what end exactly?
I was just too lazy.
Okay, this wasn't like a sexual thrill kind of thing.
No.
So this wasn't your no pawn adventures.
And yeah, I got it stuck in the zipper, and it hurt really bad.
I mean, I'm not surprised to hear that.
Anyway, my problem with this Kaito fella
Uh-huh.
is
That he's not real?
well, No, he can stay. He can stay not real. Um, I also had a phase of uh buying Vocaloid calendars every year.
Okay.
Um, and obviously, when you have anime calendars on the wall, you want them to be cute girls.
And
And
you accidentally bought the Kaito one?
no. It was like all of them. You know what I mean? It was like all the Vocaloids and shit. But like you get to like February, and there he is. There's fucking Kaito. So you have a whole month of looking at him.
Very nice. What about what's his name? Then it's like
Yeah, he was there too. But usually he's paired up with the other one. So
I investigated this because I was thinking like, okay, these two, are they twins? Are they lovers?
clones.
Are they clones? Or do they attack anything? And the lore is intentionally vague on this. Which
That's so autistic.
the idea is like, okay, you wanna write a song with them where they express love for one another, you can do that. You wanna write a song where they express sibling love, you can do that. just terrible.
The crazy thing is, Japanese people wouldn't have a problem with them expressing romantic love for each other, even as siblings.
That's right. Japan is the incest capital of the world, as we all know.
It is.
Right.
It is. I mean, of the civilized countries.
Japan's civilized?
And vaguely.
Okay. Fair enough. They got a lot going for them now.
I don't know. I don't see what's wrong with fucking your cousin.
Okay, well, obviously, there's degrees here, right? Your cousin, your second cousin, your third cousin, your fourth cousin, your fifth cousin, or your
third
sister.
cousin twice removed.
See, that doesn't mean anything. No, that's a collective illusion that society has sold people. That there's such a thing as a removed cousin.
I still don't even know what it means.
So you want to know how you know this is farcical? You go study any foreign language, which I know you're reluctant to do, but go and try to translate something like a third cousin twice removed. The vernacular doesn't exist. It just doesn't. And I know all of the world's languages, so I'm very confident in this. But it's a farce that's been sold, packaged, signed, sealed, and delivered. To what end, I'm not sure, but the ruse is continuing quite strongly.
Should we look it up?
You can. It'll be one of our investigation periods of the Readier Room.
Oh, I guess so it's in reference to like Generation.
Like the Star Trek movie?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm into that.
Okay, so a cousin who was once removed is a generation above or below you. Well, I could see why making that distinction is important sometimes.
I'm not really... I can't... So, if I'm trying to map this out of my... Let's say a cousin twice removed. That's 2 generations away. So that would have to be... like my grandfather's brother's kid?
Something like that, yeah.
See, there's nothing gained from that level of granularity.
Now...
Don't click at me. You're chittering.
Trying to draw you closer like a small animal.
See, I thought that your mandibles and your jowls were all working in perfect synchronicity.
But so, I guess you get the same thing though with second cousin, right?
One would think so.
That means you have the same great grandparent.
Right. regardless of how great they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I think this is just a fucking bullshit ruse.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm in G-Show.
Okay.
I'm in G-Show, and I'm seeing first cousin once removed, Itoko Han.
What's the kanji for Han here?
Like the Han Chinese.
Okay. Not like half?
No, it's like half.
Oh, it is half.
Yeah.
So half of them is your cousin.
Yeah.
The other half is a blood traitor.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like in reference to like your cousin's kid.
Is that
who
the
is
same
your
thing,
cousin?
though?
But yeah, I would imagine.
All right, now here's another test. If I go and use this vocabulary, will anybody know what I'm talking about?
That's the thing. But you can Google it, and there are sources talking about it. People asking what it means and stuff like that. So it's known, at least. It's not made up.
I don't know. I still think that this is a scheme of someone's.
This is the part. If we did a video podcast, this is the part where the editor would freeze the frame, zoom in on your face, and put like a big
Wrong.
big red owned on your face. Yeah.
What's the audio equivalent of that? How can we do that? Should I edit in the Kill Bill siren?
Yeah, that's good. Or we could just record you saying, "No, I'm not owned. No," and then you like kind of fade into the background.
How about we'll just use the soundbite you just gave us right now.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And I will either pitch shift it up or down to sound more like me. I'm not exactly sure which.
Pitch it up so it sounds like that Newgrounds squirrel.
Oh, Foamy.
You know Foamy's still going?
That's amazing.
And you'll be tickled by where it's gone. All he does now is talk about cancel culture.
So, but it's still the squirrel character?
It's still the squirrel, yeah. Like he talks about like the average like Twitterer would consider Foamy alt-right now.
To be fair, if you tell me, oh yeah, this Newgrounds animator is still around and he's alt-right, that's like the prime suspect to become an alt-right shut.
I'm trying to find his most recent.
Does he still draw Foamy alongside that? There's like a goth chick character, right?
Yeah, there's a hot chick. I haven't seen her because I have not done a deep dive.
Okay.
Into new Foamy, but
NU umlaut.
Yeah. Here's when normies ruined the internet. Foamy the squirrel. It's a 6-minute rant.
That is the opinion I would expect a Newgrounds guy to have, which is probably right. I mean, we've talked about that, I think. But at the same time, to use the same mouthpiece, I guess, that you did when you were 12, 15 years younger.
Yeah, it's funny. Hypocritical media, Foamy the squirrel.
Like, Foamy does not have the cultural cachet to be worth keeping around.
Yeah, no, not really. It is nostalgic, though.
I never really got into those videos when they were contemporary, so I don't have nostalgia for it.
I think he had, like, Hot Topic presence, too, didn't he?
Certainly the same crowd. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a deal struck. The only Newgrounds thing I ever really, of the big ones, I should say, that I ever really followed was the Madness guy.
I don't know what that is.
That was, they weren't stick figures, but they were a bunch of gray, simplistically drawn characters that would just, shoot each other and have theatrically complex gunfights.
Oh, okay. I might know what you're talking about then.
Their faces were like just a blank gray oval with like a T drawn on it.
Okay. Yeah.
Just that, but nothing. I didn't really get into any of the Strawberry Clock foamy nonsense. Nonsense.
Nonsense.
It's nonsensical.
What is this salad fingers shit?
You don't know salad fingers?
No, I know it's. I was.
Oh yeah, okay. There, yes.
I was doing you.
All right,
as
what
I
is
want
this
to do.
salad fingers shit?
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't get into salad fingers either. Newgrounds was, it's something I have ostensible affinity for, nostalgia for, but I can't, for the life of me, remember anything about it that wasn't terrible.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you had a handful of Sonic porn games. Those were nice.
Okay, I had those.
You had those.
Oh, I see. Okay, I had those. I had Kramer's Hentai Adventure.
Yeah. All like 62 of them.
Giddy up. You know what I've been really into recently? No, let me amend that. You know what I've been tepidly into recently?
What's up?
Clips of the show Shark Tank on YouTube.
Okay.
It's just something that, the algorithm deemed I would enjoy, so I've been following it and watching those.
And you listened.
And I listened, based algorithm. And it's terrible. It's such an awful show. It's bad. You can just see, it's like watching Kitchen Nightmares, where you can just see all the ways it's made to appeal to the biggest idiots on the planet.
Yeah, you can tell exactly how they cut it.
Right. And why they cut it that way. And it's only hurt further by when you go in the comments of the videos, which you know exactly what I'm about to talk about, but the number one type of comment I see is people critiquing the temperament and behavior of the titular sharks.
Sure.
Like, oh man, this guy was such a meanie. He didn't respect the people pitching the product, and oh, I love this guy. He always listens to them,
right?
And just they're holding the people to a code of conduct that is completely incompatible with what it takes to be successful in really any industry, but especially business.
And not only that, but it's incompatible with, again, the way the show is cut.
Yes, that too. And there's just so little thought put into it from these people. It really is just, wow, this guy's such a meanie, and wow, I want to be this guy's friend. He's so cool. And it's like, all right, guys, how did you make your first $1 million? And
well, it's also like, it's saying nothing. It's saying nothing to anyone, and the fact that they thought that this was worth posting, on a YouTube video with, like, I assume like 10 million views is baffling to me.
I'm not gonna say that the Shark Tank clips have a deep pool with which to engage on an intellectual level. So, of course, the comments are going to be vapid. But yes, even with that context, they find a way to be especially meaningless.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing. And it's like, oh, I'm watching the same video as these people, and I'm about to click on another one.
To be fair, I have watched quite a bit of Shark Tank in my time.
Who's your favorite shark?
I don't know what their names are, but that crotchety old guy who's always angry.
Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah.
The bald one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. I got his rookie card. I will say one thing about the comments. There is a very funny trend that has emerged in them. Honestly humorous. Where apparently, and I hadn't noticed this, one of the sharks almost never makes a deal. It's the old woman that's in real estate.
Yes.
And every single video has a comment of someone making a joke about why she didn't make a certain deal. So, for example, somebody had a product that was, let's say it helps your kids get organized and do better in school. And
I did not think you were going to say organized.
Well, that's you. But the comment would be something like a quote from the shark. It's like, oh well, I've always enjoyed seeing kids fail out of schools, and for that reason, I'm out. And this always tickles me every time. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah. That's an example I just made off the top of my head, so it's not.
Yeah,
sure.
Sure.
It's not the epitome of clever, but
I could see that structure going full Reddit very quickly.
You know what? And it does, but maybe it's guilty pleasure, but it has made me laugh.
It's quaint.
No, I can't pretend to be above it. I'm just on board with this. Unfortunately.
I'm staring down a thumbnail for a video called South Park's Forgotten First-Person Shooter.
Let me guess the runtime. I'm gonna guess 13 and a half minutes.
You're pretty close. It's 20.
Okay.
2020, actually.
Like my vision.
Mm-hmm. And like 2 years ago.
Right. Unless you're listening to this in 1 year, and then it'll be 3 years ago.
Sure. But yeah. My point was, who's forgotten it?
That's a good point. I don't think anybody who had this knowledge has ever let it escape them.
Yeah, you know that shitty South Park game where you throw snowballs at turkeys?
Yeah, I mean, I used to know it, but I forgot it.
I forgot all about that.
I really am curious what they had to say for 20 minutes and 20 seconds about that.
Well, lucky for you, I've watched several videos on this one video game.
South Park?
By chance. And it'll probably go over the development of the game, where it was not at all supposed to be like a first-person shooter, and it was supposed to be like, I guess, a lot better than it actually is.
Well, I guess that's interesting. Dev stories are usually pretty interesting.
Yeah. But there's like 12 of these videos on the internet already, so.
I guess it's not as forgotten as he thinks. He really should have had a more accurate title. That South Park N64 game that everybody remembers.
Right.
That'd be more appealing.
That South Park N64 game that you played with your cousin's coked out boyfriend one night.
Oh jeez. That South Park N64 game that your cousin owned and only played in his room that had red light bulbs. Which is also my first experience with Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now, granted, I was, of course, 65 at the time, but
yeah, this was your cousin 3 times removed, right?
My grandkid's cousin. If I'm understanding the verbiage correctly.
Yeah, I don't know if we are, but
which is a trend on the Readier Room to not understand things correctly, yet talk about them.
Yeah, sure.
But one day I'm gonna leave this partnership, and I'm gonna do it like a Shark Tank guy. I'm gonna say something not very insightful and a little quippy, and then be like, and for that reason, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know how or why they settled on that being the catchphrase, because they very clearly orchestrated it to have a catchphrase.
Sure.
It's kind of, this is what underscores the entire show and its artificiality. And And whenever someone makes a deal, there's always a comment on YouTube like, "Oh well, actually, they never were able to reach a deal, and that fell through, and the product didn't see the light of day, or whatever." And really makes you question your time. Like, why am I even watching this? Which is a lot of reality TV, and why people who watch it are retards like myself.
Sure, I mean, geez, I've watched way too much reality TV. America's Next Top Model.
America's Next Bottom Model.
That one where they all work at like a fancy bar or something. I forget what it's called.
What is this?
There's some reality show where it's like these hot people who all work at like this fancy bar.
And is it like a competition, or is it just follow their lives?
it's just like it's their fake lives, yeah.
Okay.
I think it might be the one where that lady screaming at the dog meme comes from.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
I think it's a cat.
Yeah, whatever. That weird looking dog.
That strange dog that has 9 lives for some reason. You ever watch the one where they it's a bunch of tattoo artists trying to be the top tattoo artist?
I remember that being on, but I never watched it. It looked like too trashy.
Oh, it was. I watched an embarrassingly large amount of it. Maybe like 3 seasons. I think it was on Netflix or something.
How about those towing shows set in like Florida?
I haven't seen that one.
Oh man.
Is it just like a big line that they tow?
under the table?
Yes.
No, it's about like a tow truck company.
Okay.
And all the wacky hijinks they get into.
You ever see that one where that one guy goes to a bunch of hotels, but it's all hellish?
Yeah, and if you think something, you should see the clientele.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Ramsay has a new show where maybe it's like 3 years old. I don't know. It's new to me. Where there's like a kitchen on top of a kitchen on top of a kitchen, and people cook inside of this 3-layered structure to some end. I think the kitchens have different pros and cons to them, but it is a show that exists.
Sounds stupid.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a cooking competition show. Of course, it's stupid. Like the only one that worked was MasterChef, because at least in that people were ostensibly good at being chefs.
Yeah.
Hell's Kitchen, terrible.
Yeah, I can't stand Hell's Kitchen.
It's like they sourced everyone from New Jersey, just a bunch of aggressive, ugly, fat people.
All conspicuously Italian.
Yeah. It was like, all right, chef, today I made for you my mama's gabagool. He's like, oh, you call that a gabagool? And he's like, well, you can't say that about my mama's gabagool. Then they start yelling at each other.
I made for you the perfect mozzarella. Nothing gets my blood boiling quicker than an Italian American refusing to pronounce the vowels at the end of Italian words.
Oh, the way Italian Americans pronounce cheese is an affront to the human ear. Like whenever they say the word, it's not cheese, it's chi. Which really makes it confusing when they're talking about their...
What the fuck are we playing mahjong?
When they're talking about their spiritual energy. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back with our question of the week. Unless you have anything else that you wanted to go over.
No, I guess not particularly.
It's a shame. You were only able to run from Star Trek for a relatively small amount of time this week. Maybe we're dying.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Nothing's really happened this week, has it?
No, I remember
I mean-
closing my eyes at the end of the last recording session, and then I woke up here, ready to go again.
Yeah. Well, we did get into our pods.
Yeah,
To
cryostasis
slumber.
is it feels instantaneous
All right.
to the individual. Now, I have to make sure that if something happens and you are woken up but I am not, that you will absolutely not wake me up.
I'll kill you in your sleep.
Please, like in the case of societal collapse, just let me go. And
I'm gonna have to wake you up so there's someone I can have sex with.
you that has never stopped you before, whether or not I was awake. In fact, that's why we built the back of the pods that way.
Right. Little trapdoor.
Right. It's like a flap on pajamas.
Right. I will say that I had a dream where I was stuck in Saudi Arabia.
Okay. It was stuck by what means? Were you marooned there? Were you kidnapped? Were you just
I don't really
fixated on
remember. It was kind of scary though.
it? So was it a dream or a nightmare?
I guess it would be a nightmare.
Like a horse that only comes out at night?
Exactly.
An all black
And is
horse
ostensibly female.
of the Night Rider.
Hmm.
Now
All black women of the night.
that's something else. But I think you could get a horse involved for the right price, or just a few sugar cubes. Horses
No.
have no need for human money.
I've seen some pretty explicit horse videos recently.
Okay.
Particularly female horses.
Now, is this the one with the hands?
Well, there are hands involved.
Okay. Now, a horse is measured by hands.
Is that right?
Right. You measure a horse's height in hands.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely do not look it in the mouth.
Only the gift horse.
Oh, that's true. Which one was it? Was it Pestilence that rode a gift horse?
I don't even know where you're going with this.
This is a Horseman of the Apocalypse quote unquote
Oh,
joke.
okay. I get you. I'm not that clued into the canon.
Of the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've only lived through it once. Being
And all I
immortal
got
and
was
all
this
that.
lousy T-shirt.
My other horse is a nightmare.
Not bad. Yeah, I guess that's it. There's really nothing else to say, is there?
I'm trying to conceive of a gift horse and gift whores joke,
Mm-hmm.
but it's beyond my capabilities, my modest capabilities.
Oh, the Japan channel DCOM posted something today.
Oh. Another video for the DCOM playlist.
No tree yards in Japan.
Is this like 3 feet?
Really, really just like grasping for content.
So what is this that the yards, that there's no yards like in the front of a house?
That there's no trees, I suppose, in the yards.
Stop the presses. Epidemic.
Plastic sheds in Japan. Within 2 weeks of each other, there's evening thunderstorm in Japan and rainy day in Japan.
I don't think that plastic sheds. It kind of retains its structure.
Oh, wow. You're excited about that one.
Wouldn't you be excited to see genius before you and have the wherewithal to reach out and grasp it.
Mm-hmm. I can see why our good friend Kyle really loves this channel. It's just a constant stream of nothing, just brainless.
But with Japan written in the title.
You're right. Here's an apple in Japan.
Here's a watermelon in Japan. Now, what I would do if I was in charge of this channel, I would videotape like an apple's journey. I would buy it in Europe or whatever, put it on an airplane, and bring it to Japan, and then be like, Apple in Japan.
Like it's anthropomorphized?
Yeah, it's made its journey. Now Apple is in Japan. Either that or Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter.
Is her name Apple?
I believe it is. I could be wrong. Maybe Nicole Kidman? Some celebrity 15 years ago named their kid Apple, and everyone was like, oh, these celebrities with their fancy names for their kids. Nah. It was an uproar amongst the mild-mannered. Clark Kent and all them.
Yeah, sure.
So we're going to take a break. We've managed to elude Star Trek for so long. And we'll come back and talk about Star Trek, I suppose. We'll be
Guess
back.
so.
We'll be back. And we're back. I believe I've broken protocol. I did not observe Proto.
You didn't follow Proto.
I didn't follow Proto. Usually we do the question of the week before our break.
Yeah, I think we do, huh?
So we're going to have to scrap this whole episode and start recording over again.
Yeah.
Please forget everything I said about Shark Tank so I can amaze you with its novelty once more.
Maybe we can replace it with some Ken Dominic talk.
Yeah. Which do you think is higher brow content?
Definitely Shark Tank.
I do think it's close though. The obnoxious editing and artificiality of reality television compared to a man eating in his car.
Ken Dominic is like you really are like just drooling on yourself. Not even blinking, watching that shit.
The text pops up on the screen when he says show the label, and it says show the label, and you're just like flapping your hands like show the label.
Yeah, your eyelids move imperceptibly when he does the cheese pull.
Your feet just start kicking under the table that you're sitting at. You imagine yourself running alongside Ken Dominic.
Out the car window. Ken Dominic jumping from tree to tree. Rolling into a big flesh ball.
Oh my goodness.
Ah.
Oh goodness gracious. Ken Dominic is an exciting figure.
It is incredible how people who watch food YouTube videos get so offended when the food YouTuber does anything that's anything different from eating disgusting food on the camera.
Well, you only watch a food YouTuber to maintain a supreme sense of routine.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
And anything that shatters your routine is a threat to you and to your life.
Yeah, right, sure.
It's really insane in a lot of ways. So we just had this discussion. We can't keep talking about Ken Dominic or we'll be here forever. The break.
Yeah, all right, let's go.
The break in the podcast was 3 hours long because we kept watching him camping out at a Denny's. Just the same video. 3 times we watched it.
Oh, we had to analyze it.
That's true. I'm not going to continue. I have to stop. So this week's question of the week comes from the quote-unquote real Captain Kirk, who is one of our many Twitter friends.
Mm-hmm.
A mutual, a moot, if you will.
That's what they call them.
Yeah, it's only moots engage. Which is weird because that's also engage is a word that was made by Trek, but I digress. The real Captain Kirk, who says, Hola, Admirals. Hola, Admirales. What's the guy gotta do to get some cummies around here? End transmission. That is a very, very, very loaded question.
Yeah.
I don't know if he envisions himself as like a kitten needing daddy's cummies, or if this is a Benedict Cumberbatch reference. I know that his stands call themselves cummies.
The cummies.
Right. Where do you think he's coming from here?
Well, probably his lower half.
Okay. His better half.
Yeah. That's what they call it.
The second head of the Hydra.
What's the first?
His head.
What's the third?
That's his rear. Now, here's the thing. A rear... Have you ever been in arrears?
No, what does that mean?
So in arrears means to be in debt in some sense.
Oh, right, okay.
Now, to be in arrears is what you and I will be doing later.
Very shortly.
When I'm in the pod.
It's funny because being in debt is almost like someone being in your rear.
That's true.
Unwanted.
Kind of nestling up in your crotch hole.
Yeah. All up in your backside.
Now, somebody that I do not want all up in my backside, definitely the real Captain Kirk here.
Mm-hmm.
I have they say that a man only produces a limited amount of cummies in his lifetime, and thus has to be very judicious about who gets them.
Yeah. I've gotten into plenty of Twitter arguments with alt-right grifters who ask me, how's your sperm count, bro?
Right. And I whenever those charlatans come to our door, I have a printed out test result, ironically, of my test to show them. Obviously, speaking to the correlation of test and sperm. Now I got you a special present here. Now,
okay.
Given our friend's proposal, I've deigned to give you your Christmas present early.
Oh, you deign?
Yeah, I deign Judi Dench, and your present is a one-time cheat pass.
Oh,
that's
wow.
right. So you have the opportunity to use it on the real Captain Kirk.
This sounds like you're trying to make me be the one who gives him his cummies.
Well, I don't have a cheat pass. I'm faithful, but you have the chance.
I don't want to give him any cummies.
Well, you could if you wanted to, and if you don't want to, that's your prerogative. You can save it for somebody else, maybe actual Judi Dench. I don't know, but you do have the pass.
The image of sex with Judi Dench is not pleasant.
I assure you, the act is even worse.
Imagining her in her little Artemis Fowl costume.
Call me Dame.
Yeah, right. Oh, Dame. Oh, Dame.
That's when you go soft just immediately, and struggle to finish out the act. I speak from experience. Judi Dench, coincidentally, is a wench.
That's why I've had all these problems with her name. It rhymes with wench.
Right. That's why I tried to sit on her. I mistook her for a bench. Now, the real tragic thing is that given her advanced age, mid-coitus, she can no longer clench, which makes the whole procedure very, very difficult.
Oh, God. So gross. Women are gross.
Right? That's why we sworn off them and became lifelong homosexuals.
Yeah. Well, when you're immortal, you don't really have a choice.
Right.
It's either that or watch every woman you've ever loved become old in the span of like 5 years.
What's nice about being immortal is that the cells don't degrade as they do in a mortal. So our bussies are perpetually tight.
Yeah. Yeah, they repair themselves.
Self-repairing bussy. I watched a speculative fiction show about this very thing.
Okay.
And I speculated that that would be very, very good. What's your favorite subgenre of fiction? Is it speculative fiction? Is it new adult fiction?
Oh no, not new adult fiction. This is exactly what we were talking about the other week.
Amazing, really, that our conversations have a theme to them.
Have we discussed new adult fiction in person?
No, only in heated arguments on the internet. And our personal intranet.
It's right. The one we have our entire building hooked up to.
Right. So from any room in the building, we can hit the intercom button to access the intranet.
All right. Readier Net, it's called.
Right. Readier Net, here I come.
Here I come.
So if you're like the real Captain Kirk, and you want us to answer your sexually charged question on our family-friendly show, you can email us at thereadierroom@gmail.com or tweet at thereadierrooms with capital T and 2 capital R's. All right, enough of this horse hockey. Enough of this
tomfoolery.
Bullshit. We watched Future Imperfect today, which is a Riker episode. And it's an episode I thought I would like a lot more than I did.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
You tell me, oh, it's centered on Riker, he's in a strange situation, and he makes this face. I would sign up wholeheartedly, I'd fund it, but I think that this episode relies too heavily on the mystery, such that any rewatch is scuttled. How do you feel about this?
So there's that interpretation of it. I think, yes, I think you're right, but I would put it more on the shoulders of like
giants.
What we have outside of the mystery is just not fun or particularly interesting, because the one thing I disliked about this episode particularly was the sort of urgency the Romulan delegation, like the upcoming Romulan delegation, gave to the plot, where Riker is constantly running around back and forth here and there, and we never get any time for him to just sit and kind of like ruminate on things. You know what I mean?
Which is bad in two ways. One, obviously, for getting a sense of his experience of the proceedings and the potential psychological aspects of it. But also, there's no time to really enjoy the future versions of the crew, which is ostensibly a draw here.
Yeah.
Compare this to the series finale, which I know, two very different budgets, but a lot of joy in that episode is seeing how the crew of the Enterprise changed and grew and developed over however many years it was. In this, it's very, very, very shallow and almost unspoken. And I think the highlight of this is the change that Worf sees, where he just has a scar, but it's so superficial, you don't notice it until they referenced it by name at the very end of the episode.
Yeah. Right.
Which is it's a missed opportunity. And obviously I guess the reason for this is, no, it's not really the future, it's a twist, but it's not interesting.
Yeah. I mean, because what's happening here is, there's just a lot of we didn't need that urgent plot point of like, I've lost my memory, but I need to
Delegate.
delegate. Yeah, right, exactly. Delegate this whole Romulan thing or whatever. We don't need that when the show starts off with Riker waking up 16 years later and everyone's different and all that. And
Right, that's already
there's
compelling.
obviously something. Right, there's obviously something wrong because the computer doesn't work right, which never happens.
Can I tell you my secret shame?
Yeah.
The first time I watched this episode, I did not even register the computer thing as significant. It's or as being part of the plot, whereas it's so obvious, because why else would it be in the script if it wasn't going to show up? But I just was like, oh, I guess the computer's not working today.
Right, yeah, and like they never do that because like they, unless it's significant to the plot, they never really show technology not working.
Right. So it was, but yeah, it's superficial, and the whole point is of this pressing, not quite a ticking clock thing, but this whole ambassador horse hockey is just so that there can be a compelling second fake out later on in the episode.
Right, which I don't know what you thought about this. I think the idea of doing this dream within a dream type thing is a nice little I don't know, treat, but the way it's done doesn't. It's also not compelling. I would rather just have more of the stuff on the ship,
right,
than Riker and this kid running around this other set.
I liked it exactly the first time, and not again, because all it has going for it is that there's another twist.
Yeah. All that stuff between Riker waking up and Riker figuring out the kid is the one who's doing all this. Everything in between those 2 points is basically filler.
Yes. Now, there is a fun moment in there where Riker has to argue the fact that he's attracted to a fake hologram very vehemently.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. It's funny that like he's been thinking about this hologram woman for 3-4 years now.
And he has to convince the Romulans, like, no, I'm in love with a computer.
Right. It's like some dude being like, no, I mean, Miku's not real.
If you were in love with her, she would have been real. And then Riker's like, no, I really am into Vocaloids. You don't get it. You don't get it, Tomalak. Anyway. So I guess we can go through this from the start, where
yeah, sure.
Riker and the crew get crapped on.
Yeah, well, that's not quite the start. That's not quite the start because it's Riker's birthday first.
Oh, you're right, and he plays the sad trombone noise, which was,
and I guess
a strange choice because he plays like the failure, womp 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 womp, and then immediately after that he's supposed to play something else and then hit a bum note. So it's like he signaled his own failure.
Yeah, it was foreshadowing.
Yeah, very strange to go with.
I guess they have a cake too.
You're right, it's not Troy this time.
And then, of course, we get the obligatory data. I do not understand.
Right. To me, this seems on the lower end of difficult to understand human cultural concepts.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, I don't understand why you guys like to have fun with each other. What's up with that one? Can you explain that to me? Data, you fucking retard. Autist.
But they're on some like survey in the Onaya sector, I think.
And you think, yeah, you think it was the Onaya sector?
Oh, no, I think they're on a survey.
Okay.
And it's like very close to the neutral zone.
Right. Which to me just screams Romulan.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but when I think of the neutral zone, I think Romulans.
Romulan.
And Romulan. They get scanned by something on one of the planets nearby.
And they have to go investigate it.
It's like, must they?
Picard's got no chill. It's like, I need to interrupt your birthday party so you, of the thousands of people on the ship, you can go on an away mission.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like rubs salt in the wound. He's like, "And happy birthday." Like, go,
yeah.
go investigate this strange gaseous phenomenon. And happy birthday.
Meanwhile, everyone else stays on 10-4 eating his cake. They don't even like pay any mind to him leaving.
Well,
they're just mingling amongst themselves.
Cake is so rare in the 24th century that that was the pretense for the party, not Riker's birthday, but the opportunity to eat cake.
You can't synthesize cake.
Right. When Riker's leaving, he's like, "What should we do? Something about the cake eaters?" And then Picard said, "No, let them eat cake." Just terrible. So him, Geordi, and Worf, the A-team, if I ever saw one, all go down to the planet together, and then someone braps on them, and there's gas. And then Riker wakes up in the future.
In the future.
And we get a look at old Riker and old Crusher.
Dr. Crusher is old because she has an old people haircut.
Right. And
that's how we know she's old. And she says, "Captain Riker?"
Right. And everyone in the audience is supposed to be like,
Right.
Riker's the captain? I thought that he would be a pussy and be first officer forever.
Right.
A little bit of subtle writing, but I think most people believed it too easily that Riker could be the captain. Not as clever as we thought.
No, certainly not.
But Crusher's got the old haircut, and Riker's
he's got like a new little pin thing.
Yeah, he's got a new pin. That's the only development in the uniform they could come up with in 16 years.
The new.
He's got a little bit of graying. He's a gray silver fox.
Yeah, which Frakes did himself actually every day. He was very proud of that.
Yeah, put his own dollop of dye in there.
Yeah. It was actually Krylon paint. He would carry the bucket in every morning.
That's why I know about Krylon paint.
Yeah,
I forgot about this. His sales pitch.
You Kryl it on.
Yeah, his sales pitch for Krylon was as persistent as it was legendary.
Oh, what did he say? What was it? What was his pitch?
Well, I mean, he always had a test animal with him to demonstrate, on days when he wasn't wearing it himself. And he'd have like the small homeless dog, stray dog. I guess they don't call them homeless; they call them strays. And he'd say, "Oh, with Krylon, there's no crying." And he'd put it on the dog, and the dog, dogs aren't capable of crying, but I think that if it was capable, it actually would have, given the way that it tends to agitate the skin underneath.
Yeah, sure.
And he would take the dog up by its haunches and kind of flail it around, showing it to people, and say, "Look, no crying with Krylon." Again, second time. And we would say, okay, John. He's like, "Call me Jonathan." And we, "Okay, Jonathan, I get it." And then he would ask, all right, how many buckets are you buying? And I'd say, well, it's Girl Scout cookie season, and
right.
My fake daughter wants me to buy some Tim Tams, and I can't buy any Krylon paint today. And he'd say, "Nonsense," and he'd write your name down. And luckily, Frakes never knew my real credit card number, but it got close.
Only your fake one.
Yeah, which I made just for that moment, so I would have something to give to Jonathan, right?
Yeah.
Right. It was a whole ordeal, But to be honest, I think that at the end of the day, Krylon did produce more crying than otherwise. And I'll have
I think Frakes Frakes eventually gave it up after going through maybe like 6 or 7 dogs.
Well, there were just no more strays in the LA area.
Yeah. At the time.
It's not a renewable resource, stray dogs.
Now he could just go down the street and pick out any homeless person.
That's true. They would do it for a Subway sandwich or a hit of fentanyl.
Oh, probably the latter.
Right. Well, I don't know what a ladder has to do with anything, but maybe he put the fentanyl high up on the shelf.
You ever offer food to a homeless person and they get offended?
No, I've never engaged with a homeless person.
Oh, lucky you.
Tell me your story.
Well, no, it's not so much a story really, but every now and then, it is pretty rare to be fair, but every now and then a homeless person will like ask for money, and if you offer them food instead, there's a chance they'll be like annoyed by it.
Well, I mean, I understand that because it's the assumption is, oh, I look like I'm gonna buy drugs or alcohol, and if I
but that's what they're gonna do,
right?
That's
right.
why they're mad.
But that's not the point. It's what actually happens is immaterial. But the point is, you think I look like someone that's gonna buy drugs and alcohol. And that's worth getting offended about.
No, it's not.
What do you want them to say? Oh, you caught me. I was going to buy drugs or alcohol. You're too smart.
Yes, that's what I want them to say.
Drugs and or alcohol.
Drugs and alcohol. Cassian and or alcohol.
So a rather long cold open in this episode. Got to go through all this, and only when they say, "Oh, it's 16 years, Captain Riker. You've been asleep for some time."
Yeah, which makes me think like, oh, why would they keep him in sick bay for 16 years? But they immediately cleared that up.
Right, and obviously, any of these details are ultimately explained away by the roofs under which Captain Riker finds himself. So it's not even worth talking about.
They should have just like not even explained anything.
They should have just had Riker wake up at the end of the episode. It's like, oh, this is.
They should have had me wake up at the end of the episode.
I did wake you up at the end of the episode. I said, honey, the credits. I'm not looking at you.
Something around the corner.
Yeah, I have my paper bag over my head while I fumble around, not looking at anything.
Your plastic bag over your head.
Yeah, the one that you used to choke me out right before I climax.
Yeah. The one you jack off with.
Right, and sometimes I even jack off into it.
Sometimes, yeah, and kind of produce this pungent smell.
Right, which it really heightens the asphyxiation play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was something else. So Crusher and Riker. Crusher sort of fills them in, sort of. And then she's like, "Why don't you walk around the ship? And try to get your memory back."
I promise it'll be interesting to the viewer to see the ship 16 years later.
to see right, the ship that looks exactly the same.
Except for the casual racism, a Klingon walks by and Riker's like, "Oh, a lot has changed."
But it is in the scene where fascinatingly we get a line that was the subject of much concern from the writers really up until the end of production of this episode, where what is it? Crusher tells Riker, familiar imagery basically can jog memories.
Right. It's more or less implied.
Riker responds, like a song that reminds you of a good friend, right? And the writers were really worried the average viewer just wouldn't understand the simile here. And they wrote a fairly extended scene where Riker continues along this line. He goes, or a painting that reminds you of your hometown, or a book that reminds you of your childhood, or a face that reminds you of your rapist, right? And so on. He just kept going. This did have to be cut to make room for the trombone scenes, though,
which were pivotal.
They were, yeah. They were much more important, especially with Jean-Luc.
It was very
the person or the person.
We really needed Frakes to show off his mediocre musicianship.
Yeah, he was really happy he got to do that.
Womp 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 womp. You see, you're putting
But
too
yeah.
much force on the mouthpiece, which is something Frakes hears a lot.
He would know about putting force on the mouthpiece.
That's right. Now, my mouthpiece has always been the Readier Room.
That's why we have it.
Yeah.
All for you.
Just to get my mouth out there.
And you certainly put force on it.
Hell yeah.
I was surprised we had a single Klingon lady that walked by for 3 seconds and bothered to do the makeup for that.
Well, we needed to establish Riker's racism.
Reichsism.
Yes. Now, this was all just a prototype of female Klingons that would eventually become Lieutenant Torres on Voyager.
Okay, yeah.
The Voyager
Who
connection is
looks
strong.
only vaguely like a Klingon.
Well, she's half.
Yeah, but so is that other chick that Worf has a kid with, and she looks like a Klingon.
That's true. Perhaps it's inconsistent and terrible. Voyager.
Basically, everyone on Voyager looks like a human no matter what race they are.
What about Tuvok? He's black.
Jesus. He looks like Don Cheadle.
Now, you can't say that.
He kind of does, though.
Just because, I'm not going to say it, but that doesn't mean that they look the same.
No, no, go ahead. Say it. Tell me.
No, your problems and your prejudices are yours to work through. I'm not
Okay.
going to do that emotional labor for you.
I'm just saying, they both look like they have HIV, that's all.
There was a funny clip from that retrospective series you linked me that showed Tuvok's actor's appearance in Spaceballs.
He was in Spaceballs?
A very, very minor role. At one point, the equivalent of the stormtroopers are combing the desert with like a giant comb, and
Yeah.
Tuvok's one of those guys.
But he doesn't have any speaking lines, right?
He has one. I forget what he says, but they ask for, give a report, how's it going? And he's the one that shouts back some mildly comedic line.
Oh, he's the one who's like, we ain't found shit.
Yes, I'm impressed that you know that movie so well.
I could quote that fucking movie to you the entire way through.
I think I've seen it
once. I watched
once.
it so much. Oh man, I watched it. I have it on Blu-ray even.
Oh, a big spaceballer.
I used to be like upset there wasn't a Spaceballs 2.
The Search for
And
More
then
Money.
They made a trash cartoon. Not that long ago, probably about a decade ago.
I think I've gone over my favorite thing Mel Brooks has ever been involved in.
The Holocaust?
No, he's only tangentially related to that, but this is related to what I'm talking about. The interview he did with Martin
vampire?
Short's Jiminy Glick. Pretty good. But no, so
the interview with Martin Short?
So Martin Short plays this Jiminy Glick character. He's like a big fat obnoxious guy that interviews celebrities. And it's he doesn't always interview comedians, but he usually does, and it's like an improv bit on either side.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting down with Mel Brooks, and the whole shtick of this character is that the questions he asks are ostensibly self-important, and he envisions them as being thought-provoking, even though they're just really vapid. So he asks Mel Brooks, so what's your big beef with the Nazis? Which it just catches Mel Brooks completely off guard. Very, very funny moment. And it's my favorite thing Mel Brooks has ever done, that little bit of improv with Martin Short.
Oh, that's cute. I'll have to check that out.
You should. It's very, very funny.
He's dead, right? He's not. Is he dead?
Well, he is soulless.
By virtue of,
Yeah. Being a Hollywood executive.
I feel like I've thought he's been dead for like the past 15 years, but he's. I was gonna look up Mel. I was about to look up Mel Brooks, and I typed Jewish instead.
Perhaps you think he's dead because he's looked like a reanimated corpse for.
He is
past 50
still
years.
alive.
Jesus.
He's 96 years old.
It'll be just another day for comedy when he dies.
Huh.
He was on Curb.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
He's problematic.
You know who is not on Curb?
Who?
Norm.
He's not on Curb?
No, he expressed interest in it, but was never invited on.
That's shitty.
Now, the theory is that it's because he was not one of the chosen people. That is to say, the people chosen to be on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That's what they mean when they say that.
Yes. Which is a pretty astute theory, I believe.
I didn't know the cast of Curb controlled our entire political system.
Oh, they control a lot more than that.
All right, where are we at?
The future.
Riker decides to go to the bridge because Crusher's tries to take him to his room, and he's like, "No, my life is on the bridge." And then he goes to the bridge, and who does he see there? But Geordi.
Right, but not the Geordi we know.
Right.
He's just LeVar Burton. He's got no visor. He's got his normal eyes.
Yeah.
And there's a throwaway comment of, I got cloned eyes? Clone transplants?
Yeah, and at this point, he's basically a different character because his character is the visor.
Right. Now, I do like the peek into the dystopian future in which Riker finds himself, where people are cloned just to have their organs harvested. Which is one of the more thought-provoking lines in the episode. But this actually led to quite the dramatic moment behind the scenes where LeVar was quite excited to not be shackled to that visor anymore. But we brought it back the next week, of course, because the time skip was only temporary. And when he saw it, LeVar just started screaming out like, no, I won't go back. No! And it was a traumatic moment, both for him having to put that back on, and for all of us having to watch, Rick just physically restrain LeVar as Brent slid the visor onto his face. And, did the stapling to get it to stick. But
it was it's like something out of Clockwork Orange.
Exactly. It had an effect on all of us. We had to wrap early that day. Which, the end of the day, rap battles always calmed our spirits and healed us.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly.
LeVar especially.
He was very good at it.
He was.
By virtue of,
wearing the visor, which had lyrics printed on the inside of it.
Right. You could pull up any song.
Right. Especially, it had a text generator for the freestyling as well. It was always Marina that did the beatboxing for the end of day rap battles. But she wasn't very good at it, so it was just the same beat all the time. Which was just, quarter notes. Over and over again. And, she liked to be included. We did.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta let the women get away with stuff.
Well, yeah. But that wouldn't fly these days. Yeah, given that she's white.
For the sake of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what they call it.
Yeah, the day.
The day.
The day that never comes.
Much like the real Captain Kirk.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So we also see some of the other bridge members. Data's wearing a red uniform now. Big change in his character. Worf has a scar that you'll never notice running down his face. A big change to his character. And no one else is there. No one notable.
But there's a Romulan warbird
that decloaks
on approach.
And Riker makes the biggest ass out of himself. The biggest. Stupid ass when he says, "Red alert." And wouldn't you know it, the Romulans are friends.
Yeah, and not only that, but Picard is the captain. No, he's an admiral, but he's
admiral.
on one of the Romulan ships.
Right, alongside another old woman hairstyled Deanna Troi.
Right. Picard has a beard and somewhat longer hair.
Right. Which is a big change in his character.
Yeah. He looks kind of slimy, you know what I mean?
He does. He looks like he's buckled some swashes.
Yeah.
Now and again.
He looks untrustworthy.
Do you trust him?
Am I setting you up here?
I'm sorry?
Am I? Are you making me set you up for something? Like yes, no.
We're just having a conversation.
Oh, well, no, then I don't.
Setting up things seems like something you would do when you're telling jokes, but we don't do that here.
We don't. Yeah, no, we don't.
No,
I'm sorry, I forgot. That's our other podcast.
Right, the Jokey Boys.
The Jokey Boys, yeah.
I don't trust him either, but I guess that's all part of the ploy here to create intrigue.
So he beams on board, and they have a meeting in the meeting room where
good place
Picard
to have it.
Picard expresses his shock at hearing that Riker's memories over 16 years have been wiped, and he actually says it's almost beyond belief.
Right.
And then he continues, is it fact or is it fiction?
Then Riker says we made it up. I remember everything.
And I guess Riker's the only one who can facilitate these meetings, the signing of the human and Romulan treaty.
Yeah, the lore is that he was the one that opened relations with them in the first place by rescuing a damaged ship of theirs.
Yeah.
So he's like the hero. I don't really buy that he needs to be there, but again, whatever. It doesn't matter. This isn't real.
Right. Yeah, that's any criticism we have here is really just met with it's not real.
Right. So, not looking good for the saucer seps, but we'll continue on.
Mm-hmm.
Tomahawk
comes on board,
and of course the most untrustworthy Romulan.
Right. But apparently he's an ambassador.
Right, Ambassador Tomahawk, which seems like a contradiction in terms.
And Riker is immediately just a complete asshole to him.
Right, based on his own preconceived notions and prejudices.
Despite knowing that he is missing 16 years of his life. No, he's mad at Tomahawk for something that happened like 20 years ago.
I think I've talked about this before. Given the track record of what the Enterprise gets itself involved in, immediately jumping to, I've been maliciously transported through time and deceived is pretty logical. And I think Star Trek needs to do this more, where somebody's missing their car keys, and the first assumption is temporal anomaly.
Yeah, sure.
Or duplicitous evil clone.
But yeah, we have talked about this, where it's like it seems like every other day something crazy happens.
Right. And
I would how do these people not have like some kind of like trauma? Like some kind of learned helplessness.
Right.
Where they wake up every day and they're like, I wonder if I'm gonna be sent back to the Stone Age or something today.
Right. Is Q gonna turn everyone I love into dinosaurs? Is Nagilum gonna trap us in his temporal rift again?
Is Troy gonna become a cake?
Well, she's getting older every day.
Is Kramer gonna become a turkey?
So I guess
Which in my head, I mashed those two scenes together.
they do play out very similarly.
Yeah.
But, from that perspective, Riker does act pretty logically.
Sure, yeah, I suppose so. But we've been given nothing to indicate that he has any doubt about where he is yet.
Right, he needs to say something like, this isn't real. I've been...
Yeah.
All right, Tomalak, show me the holodeck. Which is ultimately what it is. But no, it's just comes off as undue prejudice.
Yeah, it's petty.
Petty is a good way. And he is a petty officer.
Is he?
A petty officer and a gentleman.
So they take Tomahawk to the bridge. Where he acts suspicious, I guess.
He only acts suspicious by virtue of, speaking the way he does, which is...
his acting, yes.
It's like, yes, Admiral Riker, I'm very excited to sign this treaty with the
his
Federation.
Actor famously did not like having to play across from other actors in the same room, this character. I don't know why, but he always just wanted to be on the view screen.
Well, you get to sit down on the view screen.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's because he was bigger that way.
It's the old Marlon Brando school of acting. Don't take any role where you can't sit in a chair the whole time.
I don't know about you, but I don't see any notable difference between his performance here and his performance on the view screen.
Maybe the pants of the Romulan uniform are very uncomfortable.
Could be. They just ride up into your crack.
Right. Not unlike, well, we'll get to that later.
And, so Riker brings Picard and Troy into his Readier Room.
It's a nice reversal from...
And he sits them down and he's like, you really trust the Romulans? Especially Tomahawk, right?
Yeah.
And we have one of his most quoted lines here. You've always said it's a chess game with the Romulans. Move, counter move, guile, and deceit. And this is really interesting because this is the episode that canonized the fan favorite arch nemesis of Klingon guile, that being Klingon deceit.
There's been a lot of supplementary material about these two.
Yeah. He was in a few novels by this point. Also rumored to actually be Guile's brother as well, although it hasn't been confirmed.
It's a popular fan theory.
Yeah, it is, especially nowadays. But the reason we introduced him now is because we learned that cutting the preceding Klingon from the names would make it so that we wouldn't have to pay royalties to the authors. So instead of calling them Klingon Guile, he's just Guile, right?
Yeah. You learn a lot of tricks about managing a franchise in the most profitable way.
Yeah. And really, no one who puts in their blood, sweat, and tears and isn't a rich producer deserves to see any money from these things.
This is why... Technically, James T. Kirk and James Tiberius Kirk are different characters.
Right. On that note, Deceit is a different character in the canon, technically. Specifically because in the canon version, he's not considered to have killed all those children on Chagua 4.
It was a little too bloody for the family-friendly... Lego Star Trek that we had planned.
Right. Which unfortunately did not plan out. We were ahead of our time though, because they got the Star Wars license not too far after that.
Right. My favorite part of what was to be Lego Star Trek was the way that the Worf minifig looked, where they had to kind of give it a second head on top of it to get the ridges in. So
Right.
You know how like
Right.
the Lego heads are those small cylindrical things? Worf was 2 of those stacked up on each other.
Mm.
One
Yeah,
for-
he had a big head.
yeah. And not just because
How
he was
about
arrogant.
how about the transporter effects, where they would all the little minifigs would just break into separate pieces and then reform on the other end.
That was a really nice effect, but it also made one question the philosophical nature of transporting. The whole that Greek ship thing, right?
Well, I mean, all Lego properties do that.
That's true.
You're playing with your Lego pirate set, and you start thinking.
It's kind of like if I smash my brother's Lego pirate set, and then he tearfully puts it back together while I laugh. Did I really break anything?
Yeah, that's a good question. You could also ask, is it the same pirate ship it once was?
Right. Whereas it wasn't really a pirate ship, it was just Lego.
All right.
Now, did you know that the plural of Lego is Lego?
Lego bricks.
Ooh, many colors, up to and including brown.
I think they stopped doing that. They stopped being autistic about that.
Good for them. But what are they, Dutch?
Yeah.
The Dutch know nothing but autism.
Wait, are they Dutch?
There's some, white country.
Danish?
Like the breakfast food.
Yes. They're all Danishes. They fear being eaten.
Oh God, yeah. Instead of instead of an American werewolf in London, it's just an American in Denmark eating all the Danishes.
They are Danish.
Okay. Now, have you ever eaten a bear's claw?
Yeah. Have you ever eaten a lobster tail?
No, but I've done the lobster tail.
That's disgusting, dude.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say exactly what that is, but it's coated enough. So, tomahawk, yeah?
Hold on, I'm on the Lego website.
Put everything on hold.
Pick a brick. Let's see.
Pick
You
a
can just
brick,
buy.
Suck a dick.
You can just buy individual Lego bricks.
Yeah, I am familiar with this.
That's nuts. Like from the website. Not even a reseller.
Unreal.
And you can buy like fucking Bionicle things too.
Good for them.
Only the ones that they still make, I guess, though.
Look, we don't have
That's
enough time
exciting.
in the world to adequately cover your love of Bionicle.
All right. We'll get back to the topic at hand.
The exciting topic at hand. Riker's son, we haven't really talked about him.
Yeah, Riker goes to his room with Troy.
And she ambushes him with a child, but not in the way you would
Right.
think.
Right. And you immediately think, oh, this is Riker and Troy's child.
Right. Riker seems kind of excited for that. He's like, so, he's swiping his hands together. So who's the mother?
Right.
And Troy's like, oh, it's Min. And
yeah.
everyone in the audience, up to and including Riker, is like, what? Who?
And her existence is hilarious in this episode because it spawned the Memory Alpha page, Minuet Riker.
Right. It also implied the existence of Max.
Max Stewart. Another arch nemesis created for this episode.
Yes, a lot of those going around. So we could. What do you want to talk about, the sun, or do you want to talk about Min? Where do you want to go?
Let's talk about the son. He's the main character of this episode.
Yeah, somehow a little Jean-Luc, and quite possibly the most eye-rolling name they could have chosen. Also led to a terrible joke later on.
Yeah.
The audience might recall the whole uncle-nephew debacle from the episode Family earlier in the season. We ran that one back with Picard referring to Jean-Luc as his namesake, which once again flips the script. And I don't know if this was just, Patrick wanting to cast aspersions on the child actor that played Jean-Luc Riker in this episode, but this was not the fault of the child actor. Unlike last time, this actor is not challenged with any of his mental faculties. He's not incapable of anything. But in some respects, if it was just Patrick out to get the kid, that could have been just very next level method acting, given how Picard does not like children
that's true.
In some episodes, and seems to get along fine with them in others. But who knows? Either way, it was not very funny nor charming.
No, not at all. Not at all. Much like the child himself.
Yeah. So good thing we get to see him all over the episode.
Yeah. We are treated to bizarre home videos of Riker, and like tickle fighting Jean-Luc in every possible room.
Once while Jean-Luc is wearing a terrifying clown mask.
It's just like, oh, okay, this is how parents and children spend their time in the future.
This is the work of complete loners. How do happy families spend their time? And not inside a plastic serving dish.
this 12-year-old almost teenager comes out, sits on his dad's lap, and lets him tickle him.
Sometimes you just want daddy's cummies, and that's okay.
Sometimes. Oh my god. Yeah, and then, before that you have the trombone scene.
Yeah, the kid's also playing trombone because presumably at some point in the past, Riker ran up to him and screamed, "Be me." You will play the trombone. You will chant Parisi squares.
And you will start with the very first Super Mario Brothers.
Right.
I'm not buying you that new Switch 5 until you beat Super Mario Brothers 1, god damn it.
I like the idea of so many parents enforce this strict cultural digestion on their kids that the very first Mario Brothers and Star Wars Episode 4, I guess, continue way longer than they should because one parent forced it on his kid, who forced it on his kid, who forced it on his kid.
Yeah, sure.
And that's amusing.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's like it's not even that bad if the kid engages with it. But I mean, you and I and everyone knows that there's definitely that like neckbeard guy who's like, "No, you'll play the game."
Play the game.
I was always into pretty old shit.
Well, we are still together.
All right, where do we go from here? The
fastest route possible. I
All right,
suggest.
nothing that happens between now and Riker figuring out that Min is Minuet.
All right,
none of that matters.
Let's just say Min is Minuet, a hologram from 2-3 seasons ago.
Oh, you know what? We mixed up the chronology because Riker goes to his kid first, and then talks to Picard and Troy in his Readier Room, and that's why he gets called to medical, because the program is trying to distract him because he's asking too many complicated questions.
Okay.
right?
Yes.
So that's when his son breaks his arm. He goes, talks to Crusher, and he's like, I want to be a good dad. And so he goes back to his son sitting on the bio bed, which is a disgusting name for anything. And he starts tickling him again.
That's all he knows how to do. How to be a good
tickles
father.
him until Jean-Luc pisses himself.
Which was the goal.
Yeah, yeah. And then he buries his face in that piss stain.
And you ever suck liquid out of cloth?
Yeah, the fact that you asked that question makes me think you've done this.
Well, I mean, so imagine, you're chancing around the world, getting into situations as one does, and you spill a soda pop into a towel, a clean towel, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna not enjoy this soda pop.
Oh, stop. I can't. There's something just so visceral, so real about imagining sucking soda out of a fucking towel.
And, who's to say that a parent wouldn't do that with his child's urine?
I mean, in the future, that's just a normal parent-child relationship.
All right, I'm imagining a fetishist asking his replicator to synthesize just increasingly disturbing things. Like, computer, synthesize me a white towel stained with the urine of a child and of this consistency, whatever.
They do like a taste testing of child's piss, going by how old they are.
Right. I mean, the replicator can really be used for increasingly nefarious purposes.
The question is, has someone programmed that in?
Well, they can do that themselves. Whenever someone comes aboard the Enterprise, like, oh, we programmed in your favorite snacks. And it's like, oh, well, my society is based around pedophilia. And like, oh, we know, we have the urine of all different ages of children on your world.
Now that's a Star Trek episode that it never happened, right? There's no pedophilia episode.
So the Enterprise confronted with the absolute limits of its tolerance and prime directive.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Where it's like, and you know what? It has to be like a colony of humans that's been like separated from society for so long,
right? So
and they all take like child brides.
All right, so who takes what side in this? Obviously, Crusher's against it.
No. Why would Crusher? Oh yeah, I guess Crusher's against it.
Yeah. Picard would be the voice of reason, coming through on the side of the pedophiles.
Data will be like, I do not understand why it matters. Is she not fertile, Captain?
we let the children choose how they spend their recreation. Is that, too, not a type of consent?
Okay, who likes it, though, is the question.
Worf.
Yeah, he does that look where he's, like, supposed to be, like turned on, right. But it's just, like, this goofy, wide-eyed stare.
Bussy, a warrior's drink.
Bussy juice. Guinan talks to his parents. How come you never gave off any goddamn bussy juice?
Is that what Whoopi Goldberg sounds like now?
She sounds like now.
Sounds like now.
Sounds like now.
Okay, so...
No, we're not done with this episode. We're not done with the pedophilia. What does Geordi think?
Geordi is a hard one to peg on the issue.
And in general.
Slippery little guy. I think that Geordi would also be against it. And I think Riker,
right.
Riker would...
He'd be like, goddamn white people.
Would begrudgingly support it.
Yeah, sure.
So the only person that is like really for it is Picard, because he's so dedicated to Starfleet. And it's up to him to convince everyone on the Enterprise that taking a child bride is okay.
What about Ensign Rowe?
Ensign Rowe would be for it because she had a history of, doing anything it took to survive on Bajor, and up to and including child prostitution.
Yeah. Oh, that's hot.
With the Cardassians.
The Kardashians.
So yeah, when I was on Bajor, I was 10 years old, and I had to prostitute myself to this Cardassian general, and I slit his throat. And children are a lot more hardened than you give them credit for.
I had to prostitute myself on this reality show.
I had to keep up with these other Cardassians.
Hey, you won't believe this. A man became a woman.
So, Wesley Crusher, in this episode, one of the people on the colony, man or woman, becomes smitten with him. And Wesley Crusher reciprocates, and he has to fight for his right to consent.
He's too old at that point. That's the problem.
All right, put it in like season 1, whatever. It's our episode. We'll write it however we want to. And that's
it would almost be just as funny if Wesley fell in love with like an 8-year-old.
That would be good. Depending on when you want to set the episode in the show's chronology, but basically his support of it clashes with his mother's vehement hatred of what they do. And
sure.
Obviously the moral of the story is that pedophilia is just okay. So when through the portal of Wesley's interests, he wins over Beverly Crusher, and that sways the tide aboard the ship.
Okay, what's the climax? What really forces them to? What forces their hand?
A Romeo Juliet scenario where Wesley runs off with an older individual, and
then they kill themselves.
Yes. So, a 10 out of 10 episode, really.
Yeah, we got it.
How does Q get involved?
That's a whole different episode at that point.
Q viewing Janeway as his child bride.
Q made the children.
Q made. Do you think the rest of this episode is worth talking about?
Probably. Let's see. All right. Yeah. Riker realizes it's all fake. He goes to the bridge scene was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was. Riker just yelling at everybody. Yeah.
It's like, shut up.
You used a contraction, you sick son of a bitch.
Yeah. Again. You'd think we would have given up on this by the fucking 50th time we've used it and contradicted ourselves.
Well, he needed something to corner each member of the crew individually.
The thing is, he'd already cornered him.
It's true. He did get Data twice. But it is kind of cathartic, I guess, because you never see Riker or any member of the crew show animosity for one another.
Yeah, not to this level.
So in that sense, I think it's an amusing scene.
Except for that time Geordi and Wesley got into a fight. He's like, Wesley, you're a little incel.
And Wesley's like, yeah, well I'm not going to repeat what Wesley said.
Really brave dialogue in that episode.
Oh yes, but anyway, it's now that Riker he demands an end to the little charade, and Tomalak reveals himself as the architect of a ploy to learn the location of Starbase 13. Yep,
and none of this matters because it's also
fake,
a hologram.
Yep,
and nothing really. exciting or notable happens here. It's just Riker talking to Tomahawk. Tomahawk and his goons bringing him into a prison cell where he meets Jean-Luc again, who now calls himself Ethan.
Right. Which is a normal human name, unlike Jean-Luc.
Right. It's human instead of French. They escape through the hall. Well, first they beat up Tomahawk and his friend somehow.
Lesser Tomahawk.
Ethan launches himself at a grown man and kicks his ass, basically. Riker grabs a gun and just starts killing everyone. And they run down the hall, pass through like a ventilation thing.
A duct.
Duct, yeah, there you go. And the thing that tips Riker off this time is that Ethan has constructed an impromptu story of them not the Romulans not being able to trace them in that room because there's some kind of mineral in the rocks that interferes with their device.
Right, a lot of it infederence.
Yeah, a lot of infederence. And then...
Well, what tips him off is that he refers to Tomahawk as Ambassador Tomahawk.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And then Riker lists all these other suspicious things.
Right, yeah. One of them being that, like, the Romulans have suddenly found them.
Right.
In that room that they were not supposed to have. So at this point he realizes, oh, this is all like a game that this kid's been playing. Calls his bluff. Gives his gun to Tomahawk, and then they all disappear. And it's just him and the kid in a cave.
Right. And if this sounds uninteresting, it's because it is.
It is. And he was like, I just wanted a friend. Because his entire race has been killed, and he's been on this planet with, for some reason, this is hyper advanced hologram device that he says gives him everything he wants, but there's no way he can eat digital food.
I also don't buy that it could not construct a friend. Like,
right.
What is, if it's just going by his mental images, what possibly could it not provide that a real person could? Like, is his imagination just really limited that he doesn't know what another person acts like?
Yeah, there's that. I don't know. Maybe his life experience was so little that he's been doing this for so long that he's kind of run through all the possible variations of stories that he could come up with.
It's possible.
So he's like, I'd like someone to come down here and give me something new to work with. I can kind of understand that.
I guess.
But this is where it gets really stupid.
By the costume or the plot?
Well, in a few ways. The Enterprise finds Riker. Apparently only an hour has passed. So pretty much the length of an episode.
This was the inspiration for the show 24. How it all took place in real time.
Mm-hmm. Right. And at this point, yes, Ethan turns into his original alien form, which is probably the worst costume we've ever seen.
It looks like an alien costume you could buy at the Halloween store.
Yeah. And this was intentional. It was kind of intended to be provocative. Try to get fans to ask themselves, like what the hell am I doing here? Like, what am I watching? Maybe it's time to go outside. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Get away from this Trek stuff.
A self-aware moment.
Right. Unfortunately, it did the exact opposite. We went to that year's Still Trekkin' Con a few months later, and there were at least a dozen Barash cosplays.
Each worse than the last.
Yeah. Somehow worse than ours. And then we get the stupidest line I think ever. Where Riker says, come with us. You don't have to be alone anymore. That makes sense. All right, yeah, save the alien from complete isolation. and then he puts his hand on his shoulder or something, and he's like, "You'll always be Jean-Luc to me." And then the alien disappears forever.
And canonically,
by virtue of never being in another episode.
Remember that they've only had less than an hour together.
Right.
So needlessly sentimental. And not
very
good.
Stupid. Not good. Not earned. Very, very dumb.
I would say, I don't know if I want to say 2 saucer steps or 2.5, but I think I'm going to go with 2.
I would say 2.5.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could buy giving it that rating on another day, but that's
not
as
today.
high as I'll go, and definitely not today.
Yeah, jeez, what a boring episode.
And I said before that a lot of it kind of hinges on its twists, but the first viewing I don't think is all that great either. It's better, but I don't think it's... Maybe I would give the first viewing a 3.
I think the twists themselves, like in concept, are interesting, but when the final twist is just that this child is doing this with some machine that he's been left with,
yeah,
for some ambiguous reason, it's a very unsatisfying conclusion to all this.
Imagine you reverse the twists, and it really is a Romulan ploy, but caked into that is the first twist to get Riker's guard down. That would be more
that
interesting.
actually might be better. Yeah. And honestly, yes. You know what? That would be better. And I think even if they just got rid of the second twist and just kept it like, oh, it's the Romulans.
Right.
That would have been fine too.
Have the stuff in the quote-unquote future be longer, and then have only one twist.
Yeah. That would have been fine.
It seems like getting a little too clever, the second twist.
And definitely not clever enough.
No. They'll have to go into the Cleverier Room for that. You got any trivia for me?
I'm sure I do. Hold on, let's see. Jeez, did I?
Is this your long-winded way of saying no?
No, I thought I did. I'm trying to remember here. Oh, yeah, okay. This episode marks the first appearance of which character? Who would go on to appear in several future episodes and even other series.
Oh, Keiko O'Brien.
Nope.
What? Is that the other Asian doctor there?
Yep.
Damn. Okay, let me get another swing at this. Tomahawk has been in prior episodes. It's not him. Who was even in this episode? I mean, is it just the other doctor? Did I just get the name wrong? But it is that character?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Alyssa Ogawa. I am somewhat surprised that you got this, but not that surprised, I guess.
Oh,
it's something I only asked because it's something I wouldn't have noticed. I wouldn't have even registered her being there, and I didn't.
Well, I did. I mean, obviously, I registered her as the wrong character, but I did notice, like, oh, that's a nurse doctor that shows up in other scenes, other episodes. But if you had, I would never have come up on with it on my own that this was the first time she shows up, because she's not notable enough for me to have not noticed
not
her
at all.
absence until now.
Can we also go through Riker's canon children?
Okay, so there's is canon children. I'm not like making a canon joke. I'm just bewildered by this.
Yeah.
So he has other children.
Yeah, real children.
Right. Is this a Star Trek Picard thing?
You bet.
Oh fuck! I don't care. What? Just tell me.
There's Kestra, Troy, Riker, and yes, their names are hyphenated. Because the fans need to know. The fans need to hear the name Troy as well. Who is she's a girl.
Is it Kestra Troy or Troy Riker?
Troy Riker.
Okay. Didn't
And
know
then
where the
there's-
hyphen was.
Thaddeus Troy Riker, who is deceased.
I'm actually somewhat surprised that he didn't name his real children Jean-Luc.
I know. Maybe he had like PTSD.
from Picard season 1.
The funniest thing about the Memory Alpha article on these two kids is that it lists under their siblings, it lists Ian Troy as their maternal half brother.
Ian Troy. Oh no.
Who is the child that
from the child.
Yeah.
Oh no. I hate Star Trek fans. Well, I'll give myself a half of a point for this week. For the Ogawa.
Yeah, sure.
Now, the real question is that Ogawa or Ogawa?
Oh, it's probably Ogawa.
Do you think it's a big river? Not a small river? I'm more Japanese than you.
In the Star Trek Destiny trilogy,
Okay.
Troy's attempts to conceive with Captain Riker after the two transfer to the Titan are hampered because carrying Ian caused previously undetected damage to a reproductive system due to the unique radiation he generated.
Wait, so what does this have to do with a hamper? Is that where she put the kid?
I guess so.
Okay.
It doesn't really say.
Strange. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Readier Room. Perhaps our greatest episode ever. Join us next week.
Oh.
But before you join us next week, please check out our sponsors, which are probably still Denny's and the Pet Boys. I believe that if you say the term Readier at these fine establishments, you get 15% off your purchase or order. And now, if you append the word room to that and say Readier Room, you'll also get a free hash brown at Denny's. Keep track of everything that you need to. Stay hydrated. Stay in the shade in this hot summer. Prevent global warming. Fight the police. And
Drink water.
Drink water. Bake a pie. Greet your neighbors. And until we see you next time, as always, please stay readier.
The troublesome little man-child.
I stand before you defrocked, condemned to be a member of this lowest of species.
Thank you, Ensign. Engage.
Do you consider yourself superior to us?
Should have told him to mind his own damn business.
But I stroked the beard thusly. Do I not appear more intellectual?
Computer, freeze program.
Have you never dreamed of climbing inside the bottle?